Okay, tonight we're going to be speaking about acid-base balance, and I tell you, I wish I had started researching this a lot earlier because there really is so much to do where this is concerned. And if you've noticed, where I'm concerned, whenever I'm doing a presentation, my focus is always on concepts, how things work in general. I don't focus on a disease or a specific nutritional supplement. I try to look at the big picture and show how these different things connect. Because it's when you understand how these different things connect, when you see how concepts like inflammation, antioxidants, things like coordination, regulation, when you see how those things work, it's easier for you to make the right decisions about your health. And the truth is, your body wants to be well, it wants to be healed, and it will do everything within its power to attain that end. It's when you understand concepts, when you understand big pictures, that is when you'll be able to help aid your body do what it needs to do. So we're going to go over a couple of things in this webinar, and I have an outline before you. I hope everybody can hear me.
I can hear you.
Everybody? Okay.
Nobody's typed in that they can't.
Okay, good. But you sound really distant there, Sherry.
Oh, I don't know why.
All right. Okay. Anyway, why do we need to understand pH balance? We're going to go over that. What does it entail? How is it controlled? How is it regulated? The danger of acidic conditions. And we have probably heard a lot about acids. Acidic blood can lead to all kinds of disease. That is true. Acidity and disease, what you can do to restore the balance. And of course, these are all very, very important. Like I said, we try to look at things. This is all really on our website. We're organizing and arranging our different topics according to different areas. So that people, when they go to our website, they'll be able to, oh, this is what I need for this is what I need for this is what I need to understand. It's a lifelong learning process that we're trying to promote here. You just can't get the answers by just quick fixes. That day has come and it's gone. It's time for you to get in-depth knowledge of the things that pertain to health and life. So under how the body works, let me just go back real quick. The topmost part there is how, that's the most important thing, how your body works. And that is further subdivided into about 8 different things. And right there, up there at the top is homeostasis, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. We must get these right, and those that are underlined are those that already have that we've had talks on and we've treated. So again, they are available at our website. Okay, why study acid-base balance? Well, I'm going to show you. If you think about the human body, if you think about yourself, and that's the man right there in the center. Of course, it could be a woman. But we are constantly in an environment that we're constantly interacting with other people, whether our family, our kids at work, our wives, our spouses. We are constantly interacting with those things, with those people. Also, not only that, we are interacting with the environment, the temperature, the heat, the cold, all those things influence, including radiation, light, sunlight, ultraviolet rays, spiritual environment, emotional environment. It's a whole gamut of things. We don't realize it, but there are way more impulses, way more communication things that we are receiving than we are aware of. But your body is. And your body is constantly adapting to these different stimuli and changing and reacting and controlling. So your body is doing a lot of things as it's doing as you're walking around or as you're listening to our presentation today. As it is without, in the larger picture of the human body, so it is within. You see that cell there? This is actually an immune cell, but it goes for any other kind of cell in the body. Your cells are constantly relating to one another. They're reacting. They're receiving information. They're distributing information. And the immune cells probably do this more than any other thing. If anything goes wrong, your cells have to respond to it. And so we have to see and understand that this is there's a huge picture that we're looking at. that there are several different forces that act upon us. And I'm trying to give you a big picture before we go into the acid-base balance. ICS stands for the intracellular fluid. It's actually supposed to be F, ICF. Okay, so extracellular fluid, that's ECF, and then the external environment. So basically all these, this red part actually represents the cell, and then the cell is surrounded by fluids, including the blood and extracellular fluid, and the external environment. The external environment influences the extracellular fluid, and that influences the intracellular fluid. Again, the whole point is we are constantly being bombarded by all kinds of things. Why study acid-base balance? Well, here's a great quote. The pH of blood must be kept almost constant. Even minor variations are dangerous. If pH falls to 6.95, coma and death result. If pH rises to 7.7, tetanic convulsions occur. Now, what is the ideal pH level? 7.4. We have to have our pH levels at 7.4. A little less than that, a little more than that, but not a whole lot, because as you just saw, those extreme things can happen. But the truth is, folks, the truth is most Western culture, people in our Western hemisphere, most of us have pH that is less than 7.4 to an extent that it can predispose to disease. As a matter of fact, we talk about inflammation. Some of those things that we talked about in our talk on inflammation, Dr. Marvin too did a great job. Inflammation is promulgated, it's promoted by acidic blood. It is reduced by slightly alkaline blood. Of course, both extremes should be avoided. It is of the greatest importance. This is by a doctor by the name of Walter Cannon. He's one of the leaders in physiology in this country way back when, in the early aspects of the century. It is of the greatest importance to the existence and proper action of the cells, pardon that syntax, that the blood shall not vary to a noteworthy degree, either in the acid or the alkaline direction. And of course, we just said that. I'm just going to give you a few examples of what happens when things go wrong. The heart stops, whether it's too alkaline or too acidic. And of course, these handouts are also available if we're going too fast for you. We just want to lay the groundwork. Even in the gut, there's a lot that has to do with acidity and pH balance. Over acidity and the growth and proliferation of harmful organisms are inextricably linked. This is a book in a book called The pH Miracle. That's a really, really good book. Just came out recently. Lots of studies and research have been done on it. When bacteria multiply, they can produce waste products which further pollute the environment. So we don't want that. We don't want that at all. Let's skip on to that. There is an optimum range of pH values within which the different enzymes work most effectively. Outside of this range, the action of an enzyme is inhibited, and at extremes, it doesn't work at all. And the example we give is in the stomach. Some enzymes work in a very low acidic pH. Other enzymes work in a high, more alkaline pH. And we're going to show you a table showing how which environments are optimum for which areas of the body. Okay, enzymes are a huge aspect of our functioning as human beings. If enzymes don't work in our cells, or enzymes, of course, you have to realize that enzymes work in the cells and enzymes also work on food. So you need to understand that those are two different categories of enzymes. Bottom line, we've been trying to show you the extremes. What happens when it's too acidic? What happens when it's too alkaline? The bottom line is that we have to maintain, or our bodies are walking a tightrope. We have to maintain balance. Okay, we have to maintain our balance, and that is very, 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 very important. If I'm not speaking loud enough, please let me know, okay? your body strives to maintain, and this is the homeostasis that we talked about. That's the topmost thing in the list of how your body works. The body tries to maintain a constant internal environment, which means keeping pH, blood pressure, temperature, fats levels, etc., all within normal range. And I tell you, that is a lot of work for the body. Again, that's that slide of the things we're doing. Homeostasis involves regulation of a couple of things, including oxygen, pH, alkalinity. Number 2 there is what we're going to be focusing on tonight, as if you didn't know. Now, where balance and coordination is concerned, or are concerned, we cannot get away from what we call the central governing system of the human body. And I know we've talked about this over and over again. And they are your nervous system, represented by the hypothalamus, your endocrine system, your immune system, which in turn control your 60+ trillion cells. If we are going to be healthy, if we are going to be strong, and our focus is on building strength, we're going to have to focus on having a strong mind with positive emotions predominating over the negative emotions. We will always have setbacks in life, disappointments, but by and large, we should be more on the positive outlook, and that can be achieved. It doesn't matter how bad things are. Having a positive emotional life influences the nervous system, which is the brain. Of course, is the most important part of the nervous system, which controls most of the other activities in the body. And then, of course, the brain has its own special nutrients that it needs. We covered a talk about that. This controls the endocrine system. The endocrine system, of course, also has its own needs. The cells of the endocrine system have their needs, and they also have to produce certain things called hormones, which control and coordinate a lot of the activities of the body. The immune system has its own needs. If we can understand what the needs of these 3 systems are and provide for those needs, I would say over 90% of all health issues can be avoided, or at the very least minimized. So we really, really have to get this down. We, again, have covered all of these in the slides in the previous webinars that we've gone through. All right, next slide. Now, when it comes to maintaining temperature, blood pressure, pH, and all those things, these 4 organs are what helps to control them, but they are controlled by the governing system, like we said. So therefore, these organs too need to be empowered, they need to be strengthened, and they all have their unique needs. You've got to realize these things. Each organ, each tissue, each cell, they have general needs, and of course, they have unique needs. And we covered the liver and the large intestine in our talk on the gastrointestinal system. It's one thing to empower your organs. It's another thing entirely to empower your cells. Well, it's not different. It's just that you have to really understand. I take that back. To really understand how to empower your systems and your organs and your tissues, you've got to know what each cell needs to function. You've got to know that. And since we're talking about pH, you've got to realize that each cell regulates its own pH levels, its own acidity and alkalinity, based on the impulses that it gets from the environment. And that's why you have this cell here. You see these tree-like structures arranged around the cell. They are extremely, extremely important to receive impulses, to receive information. Actually, these are glycoproteins. Most of them, glyco means sugar, and proteins are these tree trunks here. The sugars are attached to the tree trunks, and they act as sense receptors. They sense the levels of pH, temperature, and all those other things, and they transmit that to the cell, and the cell responds in exactly the same way that your brain, your skin receive information as a human being, and they act, whether they make you shiver or they make you go into the wear a jacket or something like that. In the same way, the cell does that. So you got to realize that it comes down to the cell. And here we have a picture of a live cell that shows how these things act. Again, we have to think about things from a cellular perspective. All right, I'm not just going to define what acidity and alkalinity means. Uh, to tell you the truth, I didn't really understand it in medical school. I mean, it's just a really complicated thing. So we're trying to simplify this as much as possible. But this presentation would not be complete if we did not have a definition. Well, acidity refers primarily to the amount of hydrogen ions in the blood, and alkalinity refers to the amount of hydroxyl ions in the blood. I will not label you any further than that. In our talk on the digestive system, we kind of explained how different parts of the body or different parts of the digestive system have their own unique environment. And I try to put it this way, that there's a place for everything and everything in its place. In the stomach, for instance, and I have this picture here. This outer drawing, okay, the white is outside of the body. Okay, just assume that the greenish tingy part is within the body, and that refers to the blood or the extracellular fluids. So we're talking about the blood and the tissue and the fluids that bathe the cells. The blood has to be maintained at a constant of 7.4 pH, and we mentioned that. But think about that. But check this out. In the mouth, the saliva is about 7.1 pH levels. The stomach is much less because of the hydrochloric acid that is secreted. It is a very high acidity, and one of the reasons for that is to destroy harmful bacteria and to help, again, the enzymes. Some enzymes work better in acidic environments, but then it rises again. I mean, this is all in the same body, folks. It rises again to be able to from 7.5 to about 8. As a matter of fact, pancreatic juice, which is very important for digesting proteins, is the pH of pancreatic juice is about 8.8. That's even a lot more alkaline. And then further down in the bladder, and we had Dr. Coolidge speak last week about incontinence, and he spoke about infections, bladder infections. In the bladder, it's important for it to be slightly acidic so as to be able to kill bacteria as well. So your body understands how each aspect, each section of the digestive tract or each compartment, like the bladder, the kidneys, each of these aspects of the body has an optimal pH range in which it will, for it to work, outside of which it won't work like it should. But our focus primarily today is going to be on the blood and the extracellular fluid. And I just showed these pictures from our last presentation. Again, the stomach has to be at about less than 2 for it to do what it needs to do. Acidity within a tight range encourages probiotics and prevents the growth of harmful bacteria. Without the correct pH, probiotics are good bacteria that work for you and not against you. They are bad bacteria and good bacteria. So the probiotics in the stomach need good acidic pH. All right, let's talk. We're getting more and more into the meat of our presentation today because, again, it's really when it comes to the blood, the things, the tissues, the fluids that bathe your cells, whether the blood or just the extracellular fluid. This is where we win or lose in the fight against disease. Number one, poor diets. We notoriously have a lousy diet, and I'm going to show you one of the reasons why our diet is so lousy. Of course, the polluted environment, that's all over the world. Movement, exertion. Think lactic acidosis. When we exert ourselves, when we exercise, yes, exercise is a good thing, but exercise also results in the release of acid. And when acid is released, your pH levels in the blood reduce. This week has been very. I've been racquetball, 2 hours of intense racquetball every single day this week, and I'm probably going to continue. I usually do like 2 or 3 times a week. Now, knowing what I know, it would be foolish, idiotic of me not to protect myself from this excess release of acids. That's why I douse my body. I drown my body really with antioxidants, anti-inflammatories. I take lots of fluids because that helps to reduce or dilute or neutralize the acid. Very, very important. But that's not the only thing, of course. Indulgence in alcohol, tobacco, poor digestion. And look at these last three, folks. Look at these last three. Negative thoughts, spiritual distress, destructive emotions. What does that have to do with acidity or alkalinity? Apparently a lot. Again, this is gotten from the book called The pH Miracle. Again, I really urge you and encourage you to get a copy of this book, or to at least check it out in the library. We know that anything negative, and that's why we promote the whole integrative approach, spirituality, your psychology, and of course your physiology. These aspects cannot be denied. If you indulge in negative thinking, grudges, telling lies, doing nasty things with your emotions, hating other people, I tell you, you are guaranteed producing an acidic environment in your body. All right, I mentioned how the diet can cause acidity, and we're going to talk about how this acidity it predisposes to the disease. We have a few slides that show that. The thing with most of the food that we eat, and we eat a lot of meat in this country. We also have a lot of cheese in our diets. But foods containing sulfur, all meats have that. Animal fat, secretion of bile. The thing with the bile is the bile salts or bile secretions in your gastric system is alkaline. Your body has to produce the alkaline bile to deal with fatty acids. But the thing is, when your body produces alkaline stuff, it takes away from the alkalinity of the blood, making it more acidic. So you've got to be able to supplement, to restore that alkaline balance to the blood. Sodas, I was speaking with someone about sodas, and I tell you, folks, sodas really raise the acidity of your blood. You want to minimize the amount of soda that you take. Stay away from all things that have what's the word? Sugar substitutes, especially sugar substitutes. Artificial sweeteners, thank you. You don't want diet stuff. I'm going to tell you that again. You do not want diet sodas. It's doing you more harm than regular sodas. That's the truth. All right. High sugar content foods, white rice, white flour. These three combined with lots of animal fats. Folks, what science is finding out is that it's the combination of high sugar, white rice, white flour stuff, and animal fats that sets the stage for major acidic blood and also sets the stage for cancer. Let me tell you why. They found that the cultures actually take large amounts of animal fats. A good example, of course, are the Eskimos. Eskimos take lots of animal fats, but they don't take much sugar. Now, the Indians, Asian Indians, on the other hand, take lots of sweet stuff, sugars, but they don't take much animal fat. In both cultures, cancer is not that common, certainly not nearly as common as it is in the Western cultures. Interesting, isn't it?
It is.
So, very, very important. It doesn't mean you should just indulge in one or the other. Bottom line, what I would like you to take from this is that you've got to minimize all the things that you have in front of you. You've got to minimize them. Lots of the things that we are using to refine our foods, processed foods, 90% of all our foods are really processed, including everything you eat in most restaurants. They have additives, they have colorings, they have preservatives. So it's really, really important, folks, to watch out for these things, especially as you grow older, because the older you get, the less you are able to take care of toxins and rid your body of toxins. So you've got to be much more careful. Okay, we've seen what makes blood acidic. Let's talk about the better part, which is what makes blood alkaline. And it's just like weeds growing in a garden. Acidity is going to happen if you're not paying attention, if you are not actively trying to make your blood alkaline. The same thing. Okay, weeds will grow in the garden if you're not tending the garden. Your blood will become acidic if you are not taking the time to ensure that your blood is alkaline.
And can you be too alkaline?
It is possible. That comes with some of the foods. Well, if you overdose with certain kinds of drugs, I think some of them are actually some kind of drugs can do that. I don't remember what they are right now. But taking too much of synthetic vitamin supplements, which sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, those are the big four that make your blood more alkaline. If you take too much of that, that can make it more alkaline. But the danger seems to lie more in the acidic aspect than it is in the alkaline aspect. We know that because most people's bloods, you test most people's blood, they are acidic. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so here you have the couple of things, of course, bottom down there: sound mental health, peace of mind, contentment, happiness. Let's look at how acid-base, how this plays out in life and disease and health. Bottom line is that if you have acidic blood, these are the things you're going to be seeing. And really, when you think about it, these also are the things that happen when your body is more prone towards inflammation, like silent inflammation, for example. And we did a talk on inflammation. These are the things you see, and primarily what results in inflammation is the fact that your blood is a lot more acidic than it should be. Fatigue, brain fog, of course, headaches, chest pain, stomach aches, susceptibility to infection, ultimately cancer. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. And one of the reasons why you have brain fog is that acidity can kill your nerve cells. And that's the brain there. And again, that's the brain holds the position as the chief of the central governing system. You've got to know that you just can't let your brain just idle away. You've got to give it good brain food, and that includes omega-3 fatty acids, that includes glyconutrients, it includes good vitamins, especially vitamin B12, vitamin B6 is all very, very important. Let's look at some diseases. Diabetes, and we are having an epidemic of diabetes in this country. Most diabetes is the disease that will most tip you towards acidity. Now, Sari, you've been really silent. Are you eating back there, or what's going on?
No, I'm just listening. This is very interesting.
You have any questions?
Not yet. No.
All right. The thing with diabetes is, of course, the problem is with insulin and glucose. Because the body isn't producing enough insulin, or the body or the cells are not responding to insulin, they are not able to take glucose. What happens? Glucose begins to accumulate in the blood. The cells, in turn, begin to look for alternatives to glucose. And many times they fall upon fats. And what we know is that when fats are not well broken down, they release acidic substances which further raise their level of acidity in your blood. Okay? And diabetics, again, are most prone to that. Acidity and cancer. One of the major causes of cancer is the cumulative effect of the acidic condition of body fluids. Acidity in the intracellular, that means inside of the cell, and you can have acidity in the cell and an acidity outside the cell. This happens when you don't have enough of the alkaline elements, and we're going to come to that in a minute. If you don't have enough alkaline elements, you're going to be predisposed to cancer. And cancer is going to overtake heart disease as the largest global cause of death very, very soon. And here's just a picture of how cancer just spreads and multiplies. And this happens in the presence of acidic blood.
Hey, David, so if somebody's already been diagnosed with cancer and they start to get their system more alkaline, does that help reverse the cancer, the process of the cancer already being there?
I'm going to, bottom line, I try to shy away from cures for cancer. But what we're trying to say is that in an alkaline environment, even if you do have cancer, in an alkaline, when you begin, guaranteed, if you have cancer, you have a strongly by changing the environment, and specifically the pH environment, since that's what we're talking about today. We need to build strength. We just cannot be passive, especially if you have a major disease like cancer or diabetes. You just cannot be passive. Yes, you've got to go to the doctor. First thing, you've got to go to the doctor, but you just don't take yourself to the doctor the way you take your car to the mechanic. You've got to know. You've got to find out, because, and one of the things, of course, is nutrition. You've got to understand that nutrition will help to tip you more towards the alkaline balance, the alkaline aspect. You got to understand that, and you've got to understand what foods will help you tip you in the alkaline direction. You just can't get a better quote than this. The human body heals itself, and proper nutrition provides the resources. And here are some things that we're going to look at. If you are tending more towards acidic bloods, you're more maybe having a disease condition, you want to focus more on the left side of the screen. You want to minimize what you take on the right side. And I'm going to explain that some more as we go along. Of course, we list out the different nutritional things that are needed for optimal health. When you want to embark on the road towards recovery, you have to pay attention to all four. I think I put this in the wrong place, but hey, it's always good to see a new cell. All right, next slide. Move it. Why does this do this? All right. One of the things in the pH Miracle that I read, they were focused. They mentioned you need to take a lot of greens, and they talked about some other things. So I'm just going to pick and choose. I'm picking and choosing the ones that I'm most comfortable with, because I know that they work. If you want to see what they had to say more, you might have to buy the book. But here are they really emphasize you taking multivitamins and multiminerals. Remember, you want to go for the good quality ones. And let me just tell you now, anything less than $30 for a multivitamin supplement, the truth, if it's not on discount, if you're just getting anything less than, well, maybe $20. But most good quality multi-mineral supplements they're a little bit more expensive than what you get at the regular stores. So, and one of the reasons for that is that they are processed a lot better. They are more bioavailable. In other words, your body makes much better use of them when your body ingests them. So it's very, very important that you remember that. The minerals, the big four are calcium, magnesium. No. Yes.
That would be 5.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I take that back. 5, thank you. Boy, what's happening to me? All right, trace amendment. I'm just going to go on to the next slide. You need a broad spectrum multivitamin. I'm just going to go on to the next slide too. Now, here's an interesting thing that I came across, and this had puzzled me for a long time, because I've been told that fruits like oranges, limes are acidic. And so if my thinking was always that, well, if I take an acidic food into my body, like a lime or a lemon or an orange, isn't that going to make my blood more acidic?
You would think it would make sense.
It does make sense, but here's what we're finding out. And I got this from a book called Acid and Alkaline. It's really what your body does to the food that determines whether or not it's going to be acid or alkaline. Yes, it is acidic, but when your body takes it in, it can actually transform it into an alkaline food. Let me give you an example. Lime is strongly acidic. That's about 1.5, really, really acidic. But you see, the lime also contains other elements like magnesium, calcium, potassium, and there's a fourth one I'm trying to remember. But anyway, it contains about 4 elements which, when it gets into the body, your body processes that and it takes in those 4 elements which are strongly alkaline causing. They are alkaline elements. I'm going to show you the table in a minute. So fruits and veggies especially have a lot of these alkaline elements. So they may be acidic, but when you take them into the body, those other alkaline elements tend to overshadow the acidic aspect. And so they actually make your blood more alkaline. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Foods, there are other foods like animal fats, which may, on the surface, or animal meats on the surface may be a little alkaline, or certainly less acidic than lime. But because they also contain other elements like sulfur and phosphorus, which are in most animal meats, sulfur and phosphorus, most animal proteins, excuse me, when they are taken into the body, that sulfur and phosphorus are acid forming, and therefore they reduce your blood pH, making it more alkaline. Can that make sense?
Yes, that does.
And here's the table here. It's interesting to note that most grains are actually acid forming. We're talking about rice and wheat and some other things actually make your blood more acidic. So we need to watch out for that. Yes, grains are veggies, but some of them can actually cause, grains can actually cause your blood to be more acidic. Alkaline forming, and here are the 4 elements: the K, potassium, sodium, and calcium, and magnesium. High water content foods are also, they tend to tip you more towards the alkaline because they dilute the acidity. Most veggies. Okay, make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So here's a table showing which ones are acidic and which ones are alkaline. And milk, on the table to the right, says milk. But human milk is the strongest alkaline forming milk of the cow milk and the goat milk. And in fact, I was surprised because I thought milk should be more acidic. But in the book I read, it was said milk is a little bit more alkaline. Again, human milk is the strongest. Another reason why breastfeeding is important. The other reasons, of course, human breast milk has a lot more omega and fat content, good fat, now not bad fat, but good fat content, which is extremely important for the developing brain. Remember, 60% of our brain solid weight is made up of fat, specifically or especially omega-3 fatty acids. Salt, soy sauce, veggies, fruits, wine, and coffee. Again, I thought coffee was more alkaline. It was more acidic. So,
David, is there any difference in whole grains versus the white grains as far as acid?
I actually saw brown rice, which was probably more whole grain, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Even that, they said it could be, the author said it could be more acid forming. So most grains, I think, whether they're whole grains or not, can be acid forming. Now, of course, grains have other things that are beneficial as opposed to the other kinds of foods like meats. But there has to be a balance. I would just encourage you to study that some more, folks. Acid-forming phosphorus. Here is another table showing which ones are acid-forming and alkaline-forming. Now, when these four elements, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, are in the proper quantity and balance, the cells absorb the highest amount of nutrients and thus will be in the most healthy condition. So you see the connection between your pH balance and your ability to absorb and use nutrients. If your cells are more acidic, well, they are not going to be able to use nutrients like they should. Which means also, if they're not using nutrients like they should, they're going to be producing a lot more waste products. They are not going to be able to detoxify themselves. They won't be able to neutralize those waste products, and which in turn will increase the acidity of the blood. Plus, when cells are not working properly, they provide the breeding place for harmful bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms, which will in turn proliferate. And when microorganisms that are nasty proliferate, they also cause the production of nasty waste products and also in turn bring down the pH level, therefore making it more acidic. It's an interesting thing that the more healthy your cells are, the stronger your cells are, the less opportunistic microorganisms, the less they'll be able to do what they want to do all the time. And there's this interesting quote that I got from Louis Pasteur, who of course is who developed the germ theory, who believed that everything was caused by germs. Well, I understand that towards the end of his life he recanted. He actually took back some of his theories because as a result of what he said, most people were always looking for something they could see, a germ or a virus that caused disease. But later on, towards the end of his life, he said, well, it's not the germ itself that causes the disease, it's the terrain. And here's the way he put it. The germ is nothing. The terrain or the environment in which that germ operates is everything.
Wow.
The germ is nothing. The environment is everything. And you think about it, why does this person have every allergy, every virus that comes around? Why is he always getting the flu as opposed to another person in the same environment not getting the flu or catching the cold or an infection? It's because something in their bodies. Now, your genes could play a role in it, but even if it's your genes, the way it plays out happens to be through the pH, alkaline, or the acidic base balance. So it's very important for you to understand that your pH levels should be inclined towards the alkaline as opposed to the acidic. And there are lots of things that we do that ensure, guarantee, that it is more acidic than alkaline.
But it certainly seems like one of those topics that affects everything.
Absolutely. One of those underlying factors. And that's why I try to bring these things to people's attention. Remember, seek medical attention. We're talking about specifics now. You've got to work with your doctor. Let your doctor take care of your disease. Well, he cannot really give you all the answers concerning your health. That is a lifelong quest, okay? And you have to be the one to embark on it. Right here, I'm showing a fish tank, a really dirty fish tank. Now, you can't see any fish here. Sherry, you forgot to put the fish in this thing.
They all died.
They all died. Oh, I can see why. Anyway, let's say you have a fish tank, folks. You have a fish tank that is dirty. You don't take care of it. Well, the fish begin to get sick. And you're wondering, what is wrong with my fish? And you're thinking about the fish. You're thinking about the fish. Finally, you call the fish doctor. What do they call fish doctors? I don't know.
They call them fish doctors.
Fish doctors. There you go. You call the fish doctor. Fish doctor comes. He looks at the fish. He examines the fish. He does a blood test. And then he finally prescribes the medication that will help the fish live better. And then you put the fish right back into that environment. Let me ask you this. Will the fish get better?
No.
Absolutely not.
Started.
Exactly. It's back in the environment. What should you do if you want to have long-lasting relief for your fish? You want those nice fish? Huh?
Put them in a clean tank, a healthy environment.
That's right. You want to change the water, provide the right nutrients in that fish tank, to clean it up, make it more conducive. And when that happens, you have a nice, clean fish tank. And there you see the fish. They're alive. They're back to health.
Yay!
Yay! Well, in the same way, folks, in the same way, if all you do when you're sick or you're unhealthy, if all you do is just go to the doctor and get a prescription and take medication that will soothe or reduce your symptoms, the environment will still most likely be acidic. And if you don't take care of that, if you don't improve the pH levels of your blood, of your extracellular fluid, of your intracellular fluid, if you don't take care of that, there's a good chance your body will continue to break down. And that's why you have things like, we mentioned brain fog. That is in that kind of environment that arthritis proliferates, because acidic environment predisposes to inflammation. Inflammation predisposes to arthritis wherever you find it. And the same thing with damages your heart, damages your blood vessels. It just sets you up for disease. You want to have a clean pH, blood, acid-alkaline, clean blood.
That's a really good analogy. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
Change the water.
Change the water. Change the environment in which your cells are swimming. So change the environment. Now, obviously, everybody can't go and get a kidney dialysis. That's an extreme form. But you can gradually change it and clean it up from the inside. And I have this in front of you because in our talk on the gastrointestinal system, I mean, the GIT is probably one of the first places you need to start, because the liver is part of the gut. And we mentioned that the large intestine is very, very important in helping to get rid of waste products. So if your gut is clean and healthy, if your gut is empowered, if you're putting the right stuff in your gut, then you will be able to, it will eventually translate over into the blood, and your blood will be able to be cleaned up. But that's not the only thing, obviously. So here are a couple of things that you see here. The liver is the workhorse, the metabolic factory, and we talked about what it takes to clean up the liver. You see, here's the thing. All the drugs, all the hormones, all the waste products are broken down in the liver before they are shipped over to the kidneys where they are excreted. In fact, the kidneys also do some breaking down themselves, but the liver is the main organ. It's the second largest organ in the body after the skin. The skin also does some cleaning up process. But the liver, that's the factory. That's where it's at. So if you begin to give the liver what it needs, cleansing the liver, good nutritional things that help to cleanse the liver, well, the liver will be able to help get your pH levels back to the alkaline levels. And you have a picture of the liver. Now, that's not enough, because sometimes it takes a really long time to cleanse the liver, especially if you've abused your liver for a very, very, very long time. So it's very important that we also be open to other avenues, other technologies out there that will help to cleanse the blood of chemicals, heavy metals, biological agents. Remember, we mentioned that microorganisms, when they multiply, they also produce lots of waste products, which in turn raise the acidity levels. Free radical damage can also cause your cells, your body to be more acidic. Radiation can cause, you see, whenever there's damage, here's the bottom line, whenever there's damage to your cells or your tissues, it results in an increase in acidity. So what you want to do is you want to minimize the damage to your cells and to your tissues, and that happens through good nutrition, but it also happens through some specialized technologies that we're going to talk about in a minute. And here's Rick Deitch, who still holds the record for the most number of people on his webinar. And he did 2 excellent presentations for us on zeolites. And here's the picture here, the science of detoxification. He is the chief science officer of a company called Viora, and their flagship product is called the Natural Cellular Defense. What it does is that it contains minerals called zeolites, and they have been proven scientifically to remove heavy metals from your system tremendously, and it does it very well. But not only does it do that, it also has some action against certain kinds of organisms, and it also helps to balance your pH levels. And here's an interesting thing. Well, this is how I found out. This is my dear friend, one of my very, very dearest of friends, Linda, and let me give you a story real quick. I'm not going to tell you her age, but when her first child was born, the labor went okay. It's just that the nurse who took care of her was really rough with her. And what happened, since then, she has been having severe headaches on and off since the birth of her daughter. Okay, her daughter is like 45. So for 45 years, she has been having headaches on and off, nasty headaches. And well, I eventually told her about, she has used all kinds of nutritional supplements. Now, these other nutritional supplements, many of them I recommended, have helped her in other ways. But that last aspect, the headache aspect, just didn't seem to be licked. And so I kind of mentioned this to her, and this is now 5 months, I'm not sure now, yeah, 4 or 5 months when she started using it. And that helped take care of her headaches. Now, I don't know whether it was true that it helped to balance her pH or helped to balance her endocrine system. Whatever it was, it helped to put things right in her body. And I think that to me was extremely interesting to find out. Now, it may not work for everybody, but again, this is a woman who was always open to looking out for answers. I'm looking for answers, and eventually she found something that has come closest to helping her deal with the situation. By the way, she has 16 grandkids. And I tell you, that's enough to give you a headache. she sees them every day.
She's so thankful to live without headaches. That's amazing. That's amazing.
And some people out there might say, well, headache, that's nothing. I have this major condition. Well, for someone who has lived with it for 45 years, relief from that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because we mentioned bugs and viruses and bacteria, we also had Dr. Cynthia Ethan come speak. Oh, I made the mistake I told you, Sherry, not to make. I put doctor and MD in the same place. Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Eaton did a great presentation on how to deal with bugs and bacteria using the silver technology. Again, in fact, this is FDA approved. It has been proven by FDA that this silver technology removes bacteria, viruses, bugs. It's effective in all these things. And she did a great presentation. And DVD, transcripts, CDs, MP3s are all available on our website. What you want to do, folks, especially if you're dealing with stuff, you want to reduce the loads, the burden that your body, especially your immune system, is dealing with. You want to reduce it. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. If you are dealing with a health challenge, one of the first things you need to do after restoring nutritional balance is to have effective technologies like this reduce the burden that your cells are laboring under. Remove the heavy metals, remove the toxins, remove the chemicals, remove the microorganisms. And I tell you, that will help to put you on the path to recovery. We also want to end by talking about the mind aspect. Extremely, extremely important. If you can get peace of mind, and again, we talked about having a sense of purpose, having a sense of direction, good social support, good spiritual support. We know that people who have good spiritual support, who are more in tune, more active in their religious congregations, tend to do better health-wise. Winston Churchill, he said it. I think you can't fault a man like that who basically saved the free world by his belief in the fact that men are good and that if we must fight against evil. And he helped to sustain the hopes of the entire peoples of Europe until America came into the war and helped turn things around. Back to our slides, the goal, the cause, the mission that we're after is to help you build strength and to enjoy your life and to be functional, to be fully effective, to live without sickness and disease, to live without pain. And that comes from growing in every aspect of the word. All right. What are we doing? I think we're done with questions.
All right. And folks, if you have a question you'd like to ask, there's in the little blue floating panel on the side, there's a little tab that says questions. If you click on that little plus sign, it opens a box and you can type some questions to us, and we will answer as many as we can. Okay, let's see. Speak closer to the mic. Never mind that one.
Too late for that.
Too late for that. You know,
I'm holding an earpiece, so that's as close to the mic as possible. I'm sorry. I guess it's not working well as it should.
They sound good to me. And a couple people did ask about slides and recordings being available, and yes, that we will always make those available. Can you show the slide of the results of the acid blood again?
I am not sure which one that is, but let's see.
Yeah, I was going to type this in a little more description.
Huh?
I'm just asking Bill to type us a little bit more description. There we go. Okay, that's good. Thanks. Let's see. When you were talking about different foods that are alkaline and acid, you mentioned nuts being in the acid category, and this person said, "I heard that almonds are the only nut that are that's alkaline." Is that true? Almonds.
I do not know. I'm going to be quite frank with you, but that sounds. I know almonds are really good. That would be something I need to check up. But I just understood that all of them are in the acidic part. But if you do get a good reference for me, please send that over to us, and I would appreciate that.
At the beginning of the webinar, you were talking about doing a lot of physical exercise and doing things to counteract that acid, and you mentioned antioxidants, liquids, etc. This person's asking, what were those things that you said counteracted that? Probably everything that you covered in the webinar, but you had particularly mentioned antioxidants. Do they have an effect on countering or getting things back in balance?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing: when you exercise, when you're exerting yourself, your cells are working a lot harder, and so they're producing waste products. A lot of these waste products contain free radicals. We know free radical damage can affect your nucleus, can affect the inner part of your cells, can affect other parts of the body. So taking antioxidants, especially close to exercise or before exercise, having that in the system will reduce the damage that happens from exercise.
I have an exercise question. I've heard that part of why you are sore after you exercise is because of the lactic acid. If that's true, then if you, after you exercise, made sure you put a bunch more alkaline stuff back in your body, is that going to reduce soreness? Absolutely.
If you can make your blood more alkaline, that will, yes, it's actually the acidic aspect, the lactic acid that causes the soreness and the buildup in the muscles. That's what causes the pain. So if you can make it more alkaline, that will help, definitely.
Does it matter if you do it before, during, or after?
After is the best. During and after are the best because you're producing lactic acid throughout the time.
Okay. Somebody is asking that you would show the vitamin slide again.
The vitamin slide. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that would be.
Okay.
All right. Do you think drinking alkaline water daily along with a diet with fruits and veggies would be a stronger start to reduce acidity in the blood? if the body doesn't respond to vitamin supplements?
Alkaline water, yeah. I mean, I know there are different kinds of technologies out there to make blood more, make your water, the water more alkaline. Yes, so what they're saying is that if you use that in combination with the nutritional supplements you're taking, is that what he's saying?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I mean that just makes sense. Absolutely. I mean, here's what I say, folks. It is in the rare circumstances, it's the rare case where you harm yourself by, and that's really when you're unintelligent about your choices. But if you take heed and intelligence supplements, take all kinds of things to make sure that your body works well, it's the rare case in which you're going to hurt yourself. It's really, really rare, very rare. For instance, like I said, I take I mean, anywhere, if I find out something that will work for me, I don't care what I'm taking already. I'll just add to it. And I take a lot of different kinds of nutritional products. I mentioned that my coffee is called Healthy Coffee because it contains one of the most powerful mushrooms in the world, the most powerful supplement. It's called a reishi, red mushroom. I have that. I take, of course, the glyconutrients, something for the endocrine system. I take something for the vitamins and minerals. I take another one. I mean, when the Vibe one that we mentioned 2 days ago, I take some of that. I just take a lot of stuff. So so far, I'm still breathing. I'm still alive, and I think I'm doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Good. Back to the thing with the exercise, I guess the question was that you had mentioned 3 things: antioxidants, water, and were there 3 specific things that related to counteracting the effects of exercise? Or were you just,
sure. Yeah, I was just
rambling off a list and wasn't really 3 in particular?
No, it wasn't just 3. There weren't just 3 things in particular. I just mentioned those because they were the 2 that came to my mind first.
Okay.
I mean, if I thought about it some more, I could give you some more, but it's not like there's a three specifics.
Okay, thanks. How do you measure your pH level? How would you know what yours is, and how do you measure it?
That's a good question. I forgot to cover that, but I know a simple blood test can one of the things that will check out is your pH levels. You can ask.
Any way to do it at home? You can test your pool chemicals.
Your what?
You can test the chemicals in your pool. There's got to be a way to test your chemicals in your own blood.
Well, I guess so. I think the thing with, I mean, first of all, you're going to have to get enough blood out of your body to dip it in, and I think I think.
So it has to be blood that's tested. You can't test saliva or urine or anything like that to know what you're.
Yeah, you can test saliva and urine because they are pretty much they're liquid. But see, the thing with blood is that it's going to congeal right away. Your litmus test works best in a naturally liquid environment. But blood is not going to be liquid for too long, and even if there are so many other things in blood that can mess with your reading from a small litmus paper, for instance. I would just say check with the doctor,
Okay.
or go to a lab. So some of these lab tests, they can get that done for you. I just don't know how it's done.
How to do it? Okay. And what's the range that the human body needs to be in? The blood?
7.4 is the optimum. Little less. Well, let's say 7. When you're going to get into 7.2, you're becoming acidic. That's maybe even too low. But just if you have 7.2, you're becoming acidic. 7.6. Yikes, 7.5, 7.6 maximum. It has to be maintained in a very tight range. And the closest to 7.4 you're going to get, most people are going to be less than 7.4. So the closer you can get to that, the better.
There's several questions that revolve around the book that you mentioned several times, The pH Miracle. Is a lot of what you presented tonight in that book?
No. Well, I would say about 20 to 30%. Remember, I pull from several different sources. I mean, you've been to my study before, haven't you, Sherry? I have books everywhere. I just, and then of course my background, my medical background comes into play. So I would say less than 20% actually got from the book. I just got some really good quotes, and it helped me understand some things. There's another book called The Acid-Base Balance by Herman Ahira, A-I-H-A-R-A. Herman Ahira, he's a Japanese guy, and he was the one who actually kind of showed me how the Western concept of acid-base balance integrates with the Eastern concept of yin versus yang. Some of you have probably heard about those concepts, yin-yang thing. Always talking about two complementary and opposing forces. Yeah, you see that in darkness versus light, for instance, man, woman, acid-base balance, anti-inflammatories, anti-inflammatories. They're both needed, but they have to be in the right balance. So that's a great book, Acid-Base Balance by Herman Ahira.
How can we know that we have balance of the 4 important minerals for alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, and the other 2?
Again, the book, I don't have the exact values now, but they recommend some certain levels. And again, there's something to do with the uniqueness of the person. Here's what I say, folks. It's not really that important that you do a test to know what is going on. Many of our speakers who have come on this really tend to minimize the role of certain tests like hormonal tests or hormonal assays or this pH levels, having doing a test or the mineral test. What you want to do, because a lot of these may be skewed, may be off, and they could vary depending on the time of day that it was taken. I mean, there are so many variables. What you want to do is focus on putting in your body the right nutrients, the right amounts each day, not slacking off, but each day doing the right thing. When you're doing that, you can rest assured that your body is beginning to move in the right direction. Now, having said that, I can say that for inflammation, it would be a good idea to test your levels of silent inflammation. And there are a few labs that, what's his name, Dr. Barry Sears speaks about. He's one of the top, researchers in terms of inflammation, in the field of inflammation. And he mentions a couple of labs where it would be good to test your levels of silent inflammation. You don't be too concerned about the individual levels of certain minerals and vitamins.
Okay. Another question, it says, coffee is alkaline, yet I understand caffeine feeds cancer cells. Which way should I go?
I have to tell you, too, when I saw that, I was like, coffee, alkaline? I was thinking it was more acidic, especially when you're processed. I mean, decaffeinated coffee, for one, don't even think about it, folks. Stay away from decaf because that has a lot of toxins in it and acidic stuff, especially if you're dealing with cancer. You want to minimize that. And as a matter of fact, in one of the books I was reading, if you have cancer, you want to stay away from the whites, the 3 whites, sugar, rice, and flour. You want to stay away from or minimize your animal fats and animal flesh. And they mentioned coffee too, because that can cause chemical imbalances. So if you're dealing with cancer, you might want to reduce that, or you might want to take healthy coffee. And as a matter of fact, we're going to work on getting a doctor from that company to actually come speak to us about this healthy coffee. So if you're dealing with cancer, it might be a good idea just to minimize your coffee intake.
A couple of people have asked about, I guess there's some supplement out there called Miracle Mineral Supplement that supposedly you can add. It adds the right pH to your water. Have you heard anything like that?
Nope. Lots of stuff out there.
lots of stuff out there. Where does pro-oxidative stress enter in with supplementation? Wait. Where does pro-oxidative stress enter in with supplementation?
Well, that's just is also brings into play the free radical. When you say pro-oxidative, it simply means that there are free radicals causing damage. Pro-oxidative free radicals is basically saying the one and the same thing. So when there are lots of, and pro-oxidative stress can be caused, or free radical damage can be caused by your body's normal function. So that's one part. But it becomes more stressful when there are other things like you're having an infection. Even your immune system can increase your pro-oxidative stress. Having an acidic blood can increase your oxidative stress or free radical damage. Taking certain drugs, certain chemicals, certain heavy metals in your body can cause pro-oxidative stress. So basically it's talking about free radical damage.
Okay. Somebody just typed in, it says, note, when consuming nuts and seeds, they need to be soaked because they contain substances that block thyroid hormones. As you can Google soaking seeds to learn how long the different seeds need to be soaked. I mean, it's a little bit of a diversion, but just seemed like some useful information I'd throw out there for anybody who wants to try that. Let's see, a couple more people asking about, will the slides be available after the presentation? And the answer to that is yes. And because you registered for this webinar, you will automatically get an email about that. But if you happen to miss that, give us a couple of days, and they'll be in our online store on our website. One person actually asked about what your background was, which reminded me that you didn't let me introduce you at the beginning. Boy, must have been afraid.
I wasn't sure you were going to be nice, so I kind of wanted to skip that part.
Been one of those weeks.
Well, you want to do it now?
No, we'll just hold that off for next time. Then I'll be double prepared. Okay. Here's a really good question. It says, I am shocked to learn about all the foods that are acid-forming, such as fish, beans. What is the perfect diet in general, as well as, especially for toddlers? My child, who's 2 years old, the doctor said, give him yogurt and dairy and cheese. And
yikes.
It helps with brain development. And they're wondering, am I doing a disservice to my child feeding him all these things, supposedly for brain development?
Oh, my gosh. To be careful here. What we know, and this has been borne true, has been found to be true by research by nutritionists. Even from childhood, even kids now need good quality nutritional supplements because the food is not getting enough of what not giving them enough, and hopefully your child was breastfed. We know that a lot of the dairy products are not only are they acid forming, but a lot of them, especially the commercially made ones, have a lot of chemicals, including hormones and antibiotics, which are meant to help the cows grow faster, and of course keep them from being sick and having infections. But of course we take and ingest all those things, and of course pasteurized milk. Well, you can email me afterwards, but I just want to be careful about what I say over the air.
Okay.
So, next question.
All right, those are good questions. Probably like our last question, and this might lead to something that we could put on our website. It says, have you found a very comprehensive chart listing alkaline-forming versus acid-forming foods? Maybe we could pull together some of that kind of information and actually put a chart on our website that people could just download.
That'd be a great idea. Yeah, probably we should do that. Yeah, because the book does have some really good points on that, a couple of the books.
Okay, you type them out and I'll put them on the website.
Well, I have a better idea. Why don't I just ship the books to you and you do that?
Like you. Okay, now I think I will introduce you after all.
No.
Okay, well, that is about all the questions. Thank you, David. This has been really, really good.
Oh,
And
thank
thank you
you.
for joining us tonight.
Thank you, folks. And remember, I think next, what do we have? We got Dr. Ben comes back again, speaking about the fatty acids. I think that guy's a really smart guy. So he's just amazing. So young and yet so smart. So you won't be here next week, Thursday, and the week afterwards.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
God bless.